Good evening. That's much better. That's how I want to hear it. You can turn the lamp on too, Bob, please. Thank you. That's how we needed to face things in life, right? Be strong, be confident. Today we're going to talk about the teachings of Jesus from the chapter 24, item 17. There's a lot of misunderstanding about this topic, and we'll probably, I think you have to turn 3 or 4 times, and it's going to turn it. No, I think it's not it's not plugging in. Sorry. So, in the Spiritism, we accept Jesus Christ as our guide and our whole model. And we stress this in here a lot. We emphasize this a lot, the importance of learning the teachings that Jesus gave us when he was here more than 2,000 years ago. And the most important of that is to understand how we are going to apply that in our lives. When Jesus was here, we know that he used to speak in parable. It's not changing. Because due to the culture at that time and etc. And back then, their vocabulary was not as rich as ours today. So they used several words to describe the same thing. For example, when he said on Luke 6, 22 and 23, "Blessed are you when men hate you." What do you mean, like, men hate me? What is that? I'll be blessed if someone hate me? It's not the fact that the person is hating you. What the Spiritism teaches us is that that person that is expressing their consciousness about something, it is troubling to someone that is going to receive that action based on something that person is going through in their life, let's say a negative thing. So he's going to do to you something bad. Isn't that what is happening pretty much today in our life? When we face life itself, adversity, family, co-workers, friends, everything out there. So everything out there that God has put in our way, we can call that hate. That's what the word hate means. Also means when Jesus used that. So pretty much he is giving us, because God loves us so much that he's given us a great opportunity right there when that person is doing something wrong against us. Spiritism explained to us, Allan Kardec in the Spirit's book, that there is no such a bad person. What it is a ignorant spirit in the road of progress. It is known by us, by our society today, as someone bad, a bad person, someone that doesn't practice good things. To us, we understand that everyone one day is going to become a good spirit, a good person. It's going to take a lot of efforts from this person to evolve, to accept things. Pay attention, to accept things. How many times, let's say this last week or today or a few days ago, that things that have happened to us and we did not accept it. So just pay attention to those things. In order to understand Jesus' teachings, we needed to exercise our sensibility to understand everything what happened to us, and not just think that everything is happening out there, it's because of others or it's about others. No, it's not. It's about us. It's about individual. So that same person that is doing something wrong, he will eventually learn, right? Don't you agree with that? Can you, for example, look at a child and say, "Hey, you're dumb because you can talk adult stuff"? Who is dumb in there? We are. Because to say that, because it's obvious that child's going to grow up being an adult and be able to talk like an adult, or even better than that, better than we talk. It's the same way with the spirits. If he's not doing something good today, it's because he haven't learned yet. It doesn't mean he's bad. He's just an ignorant spirit on the road of progress, exactly the same way we are. And when he does something wrong, it's known by society, by a bad person. So he will eventually move forward and change. He'll become a better person. So everything, when all of this happened to us in our lives, and we are there standing and facing that thing that has just happened to us, that it's what he's talking about. That's our cross. You need to carry your own cross. Take up your cross and move forward. And listen to me and do what I'm asking you. Take me as a guide and an example. That's what Jesus wants from us. That's what the meaning of this passage from Luke. And he continues, he goes forward. When they exclude you, how many times we've been excluded as people try to exclude us, insult us, and reject you in the name, reject your name as evil because of the Son of a Man. Rejoice, pay attention. If you do what it is exactly I'm trying to describe in here, you will rejoice in that day and leap for you, because great is your reward in heaven. What he's talking about here. What is reward? What is this reward in heaven that I'm going to receive? If I am an ignorant spirit on the road of progress, if I learn Jesus' teachings and begin to execute that in my life, what that means? That means love. Good things going to happen to me. So I am going to, as the same example of the bad tree and a good tree. If I do that, I am going to be planting, change this word in here, by planting a good tree. And I am going to have good fruits. Good fruits is heaven. Allan Kardec talks about this, hell and heaven, on the book, one of the 5 books of spiritualism called Heaven and Hell. Pretty much the concept of heaven and hell that he describes in there is the state of the mind of the individual. We can put ourselves in heaven today, right now, if we want to. Take ourselves out from hell. Hell, it's all the bad actions that we put forward toward others. That's what it means, heaven and hell. So if I plant good fruits, good tree, am I going to have good fruits or a bad fruit? It's a good fruit, right? And it's a logic thing. So are you understanding now the concept of this? Take up your own cross, face adversities, accept everything. Don't worry about what the people is doing to you. We have, of course, to protect ourselves. Don't let things get physically, of course. We're not going to do that. And there's law that's protect us. But everything else, do not worry. Do not point out a defect on that person. Look, because of him or because of her, I am on this position right now. It's not. It's because of us. We are the only and absolutely only one responsible for things. It's because there's one passage I can remember from these books that we read. There is a lot of people, they get themselves in a very bad situation in life because they do not know, they haven't learned yet how to hear things, how to see things, and how to accept things. A lot of people are willing, because we're trying to follow the path of righteousness, right? It makes us sometimes to do something good. That means if you do something good, if the other person doesn't know how to see or how to hear, how to understand what you're doing, he's not going to take that in a positive way. He's going to try to take advantage. That means he's not ready to receive. Some is ready to give, others are not ready to receive, and vice versa. So that's the importance that you need to understand, that we do not need to worry about others. God will take care of them. We need to do our part. That makes sense? That's what it is to take up our own cross. So I have a question for you on the passage that we just read. What constitutes the persecution alluded to by Jesus in this passage? What do you think that is? I'm going to go to the answer so it makes it easier. Who doesn't have this? Who doesn't have difficulties in life? Raise your hand. See? Nobody. That means God is wrong? Is that what it means? So what did that mean then? We are having opportunities to learn, to be a good person, to practice Jesus' teachings. Remember, we accept Jesus. If you do accept him, Jesus Christ, as our guide and your whole model, that's a great start. That's the first number one we have to do. We have to accept him. There's people today on this planet that we live in today, 2016, that have not yet accepted Jesus as our guide and our whole model. That's even worse. How are we going to do well in life since we don't know how to do things? We must have a guide, right? So now you accept him. The next step now is understand his teachings. Try your best to study the gospel and understand everything he said, and then you begin to execute that in your life. Until then, you're going to have to keep coming back to this planet of trials and expiation. That's why he calls it trials and expiations, because it's going to teach us. God will give us what? Difficulties that we go through in life that we call trials. They're going to require a lot of work from us, understanding, thinking about, meditating about Jesus' teachings, and try our best to execute what he wants us to do. That's the only way we're going to be able to practice love. So persecution represents the difficulties that we encounter when we live by the gospel. What it means to live by the gospel. He's not talking about the book or something. He's talking about the gospel of Jesus. All his teachings that he taught us. If you learn and you execute that in your life, you're going to be fine. You know, that's how we need to do it, as well as the misunderstanding between men with regard to Jesus. There's a lot of misunderstanding of that. It's all like about books and reading and stories, and never comes out of that. They don't talk about how to become a better person, how to execute that in our life. It's everything else. The cross that we now carry. So why we now carry a cross? Must be for us a cause of. Who sees that? Who sees difficulties as a moment of rejoicing? I know some people that absolutely see that 100% of the time. We call them what? Enlightened spirits. We are not enlightened yet. Why? Because we haven't practiced Jesus' teachings yet. We don't see this as rejoicing. And these books that we read in here, the Emmanuel talks about, he refers to difficulties that we go through in life, troubles, everything, you name it, A to Z. Everything in there are fertilizers to our life. Why? Because without this, we're not going to have rejoicing and gladness in life. You're not going to be happy. Happy does not belong to this planet of trials and expiation, because it requires us all the time to be facing this. So we learn to develop our virtues. But it is the only place that happiness starts. It's right here. Every time that we do something good, we feel that happiness, that strength inside. That's the law of progress, teaching us things, and we accept it. And we move forward. Because it is the harbinger of our deliverance to come. What is going to come? The future is going to come. We are suffering today because in the past, we did not act like this. We went against that. We are rebellious against Jesus' calling, God's calling for love, to teach us love. And we keep pushing things away, blaming others, try whoever has a lot of money think that they can buy their way out of things, which it's not true. It's not going to happen. It's going to be worse, because the problem is going to come to teach us. It's the law of progress. And what the person is doing is pushing away. It's pushing away Up over there in the future, he's going to have to deal with all of that. But it's not just of that now. He's going to have more interest now. Things are going to be harder for them to learn. That's how things work. So difficulties in our life doesn't come to destroy us, but to help us realize hidden potentials. Does that make sense? Yes or no? You probably haven't eaten dinner yet. Yes or no? Yes. There you go. Much better. Stronger. There's another passage in here from Mark, Luke, Matthew, and John. Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples and said, "If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world yet forfeit his soul?" Well, let's break this down and understand a little bit more. What is the method suggested by Jesus for those who wanted to walk in his footsteps? So what do we need to do? We need to stay home and just think about material things and not do nothing? That's not the way it works. Even the birds in the sky, that he provides foods for free. The birds doesn't stay there and wait for the food to come to his beak, right? You have to fly away, you have to go for it, you have to go get it. That's the way we are. We have to resign ourselves. What it means to resign ourselves. Who can give an example? What it means to resign ourselves on this concept that we are learning. One of the most important things that Spiritism emphasizes a lot is the inner transformation. Get rid of our old habit that we acquire in life that became part of who we are, and change ourselves, improve ourselves to become a better person. That's what it means to resign ourselves. Resign ourselves. I'm going to take responsibility, finally, for my actions. I'm going to stop blaming people. I'm going to start from now on, receive everything because God's what? He loves me. In order for me to develop my virtues, he's going to give me problems. And I am going to deal with these problems now. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to stop transforming these problems into complications in my life. I'm going to quit doing that. So that's what it means to resign ourselves. Take up my cross. Well, I'm going to take responsibility for my own thing. I have done things wrong. I have lived in before. Reincarnation is one of the principles of Spiritism. It teaches that we have lived before, and by the fact that we have not acted properly according to Jesus' teachings, we have a lot of things we need to repair. That's what that's what explains everything that we go through in life. When you see people, going through such a hard time in life and then going through so many poverty and hunger and so many things going on over there, that was not God's creation. That God gave, the same way he's given every one of us now, opportunity to do good, to love each other, one another. He didn't. He was rebellious against. He never done this. So now he has to reap the fruits of the tree he planted. So we reap what we sow. That makes sense? So it's make perfect sense, right? So we have to take up our own cross and act accordingly. Try our best to follow the path of righteousness. That's the only way. As we do that, we're also going to be able to help others. See, this is just a figurative way of explaining that. The cross represents our problems that we go through in life. The method for the attainment of happiness includes giving up our own right in favor of the good of all. How we do this? Every time that we want to put an action in practice, we need to think about others as well. We need to include what can I do to benefit others as well, not only myself? That's what it is talking about. Having the courage to support the consequences of our act of yesterday. Stop pushing away the things and begin finally resign yourself and take responsibility of things and stop blaming others. And the desire requires a lot of desire to search for Jesus as the divine model. It's taken from the books, study, and execute in our lives. That's what it means. That's what its importance. That's what we need to do. That makes sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
There you go. Much better, see? Everybody's getting shaped. So now when we go out there, when we face adversities, a husband, a wife, a brother, a sister, a family member that we don't like, a friend, our co-workers, we're going to take what? Or his own responsibility. I'm going to say, the problem, it's me. It's the way I see them. It's not them, it's me. We know this. We emphasize this a lot in here in the spiritual community. The problem never with that person. It's always in here. We are. In this passage, what is the significance of Jesus' words? Let him deny himself. Look at this. How many times have we acted with selfishness? How many times we have demand from others things in exchange of some action that we did? How many times have we heard that we cannot do things with ostentation? You know what that means? To do something towards someone and expect something in